How are we doing, everybody? Welcome back to the Sean Atwood channel. I'm Ron Swanson. I'm here with John WEDGER, and it is Crime Theory. And this week, I thought we'd get a little reminder, a little reality check, because recently we've been talking a lot about Epstein. We've been talking a lot about Hollywood, the globalists, the elites, and I think some people, right, and this isn't a criticism, find great comfort in conspiracy because you feel like you're educating yourself, but you convince yourself that there's enough plausible deniability that it's not as bad as we think, right? You know, Diddy's not going to be done for RICO, so that means he was just a bit of a weird guy, you know? And John always likes to remind me that there's such a much broader area when it comes to the whole problem of these nasty people that do nasty things to young individuals. And I thought we would strip it right back this week and take it back to one area within the UK where these networks and these individuals can thrive and have, you know, used them as hunting grounds, so to say. And we're going to get into that this evening. We're going to have a little recap of some of the politicians as well, because John is just a wealth of knowledge. But before we do that, John, you are on the road this evening. How are you?
Yeah,
How
yeah, I'm really good. It's gone really crazy. Uh, been working with the national media, the national press. They've been in touch with me regarding the GGs, the old G
Okay,
gangs.
yeah.
So uh, they've been put my way. They know of me anyway, but I was always classed. Even Theresa May openly, and it's a matter of record in Hansard's, that John Wedger's a conspiracy theorist. And the newspapers saw me as that way. But what has happened is everything I've said is rather predictive. So we're now seeing people being interviewed, and they're going on about the reality that is SRA and stuff like that, and you know, and there's quite a few comments that have been going out on national media saying, "Oh, this guy Wedger was on about that. This ex-cop was mentioning that."
Yeah.
And now the National Police Chief Constables Council or something, the NPCC, I think is the acronym, have released a document. I think it's something like a 16-page document, and it's training chief constables and other forces in the Commonwealth of the reality of SRA and things to look out for. So it's a massive leap forward. So what, some of these national media publications and online groups, especially the pro-satanic ones, when they were knocking me, calling me, the perpetrator of satanic panic and a conspiracy theorist, well, it's now official that it does exist. So it's a huge step forward. And also with the GGs, I was approached because I've been saying from the start, this is a historic problem, and it is an algorithm. I know that the Kashmiri, Pakistani minicab drivers from provincial towns, they've been getting away with it, but it doesn't mean they invented it, and it doesn't mean that they are the sole operators on this,
Oh no, absolutely not.
because
But
they're
it
not.
still needs dealt with, John.
And and
I
and
know you're not saying it doesn't, but I mean it's
yeah, what it is, it's a sort of geopolitical issue. It's something that has been manipulated to cause a lot of tension, a lot of hatred, and the police have deliberately ignored it when it's a certain demographic for more than one reason. So it'd be an
yeah.
organised crime reason. It'll also be a political reason. If anyone can't see the polarisation in our society
John,
and the
could you not put forward the argument that it could almost have been seen as something that was allowed to flourish and
definitely,
failed attempt to create public outrage to a great enough extent
yep,
to warrant more government control. And
yeah,
listen,
totally,
John, I'm going to be honest, we need to be real careful with what I'm going to say
yep,
next, right?
yep,
Those individuals that are coming, let's refer to them as French tourists, okay, that
yep,
are coming here. The French tourists, right? Could you not argue then that this importation of French tourists could be Plan B? Because they never got the public outreach. Because I mean, I'm not saying that John and I are saying that the GG situation is massively serious or is it real?
Well, because of who I am and my past occupation, you know, I'm sort of known by the public, but also known by serving and former officers. So I was approached in the street by a retired detective from the NCA, which is the National Crime Agency, used to be the National Crime Squad, and she was on the small boats unit. She said, John, I was on the small boats unit. And I said, what was that? She said, to deal with what exactly what you're on about. And she said, it's a farce. She said, I left in total disgust because the National Crime Agency have got the ownership of it. They're the steering group for it. And she said, it's a joke. They're doing absolutely nothing. Said it's if the public knew what the NCA, how incompetent, and she said they have hardly any experienced officers there now. It's very much civilian run, and she said it's appalling. She said it makes you want to cry, and if we saw what happened in the week, we saw a sergeant, a female sergeant, I think from Leicestershire Constabulary, and she spoke out whilst on duty, whilst in uniform. And she spoke out about her total disgust at the disarray and the incompetence of the police and that they are not serving the public. And I watched the video and these idiots were trolling her, saying, yo, Bill, we're all part of this conspiracy. Do you know what? People have to wake up and they have to grow up because this woman, she's a hero and we need to back her. I can't remember her name, but people, I implore you to watch her. What she is doing, she is putting her pension, her job, her liberty all on the line to tell you lot, the members of the public, because I know what's going on, but she's to tell you this is bad. This is so bad that she's jeopardised everything. Can you imagine being in that position? And I once was, but there was no way I did it as boldly as she's done it. And what she's done is just, I'm in awe of the bravery of this woman. And she's still got negative comments. So there's some idiots out there that you can never please them. But people are now speaking up. And if the public can't see the undercurrent that is bubbling in this country, whether it's racism or whatever it is, you know, there's George's flags going up all down the street now. Whereas years ago, people wouldn't have done it. We had a bit of national pride. But, you know,
Well, John, there was actually a town in England that all of the locals had put together a fund to buy Union Jacks and buy the English flag and have them put up in their areas, and the council came down and ripped them all down.
Ripped them down, yeah.
Well, listen, one of the guys went and hired a cherry picker and put the flags back up at the highest points that he could hang them in the area. And it's one thing if let's say your country has got a historical flag that ties in with I don't know.
Well, what is interesting is, you know, in
racism,
the United Kingdom, we have that, because if you go to Ulster, you go to Belfast, you go to Northern Ireland, you will see that. You will see that in absolute proliferation, and it's so bold. Every single end of terraced house has got some sort of political statement, whether it's pro-British, pro-monarchy, or totally against it, depending, obviously, in their neighbourhood. We remember, I can't remember the town it was in, just north of Belfast. It's on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, just north of Belfast, that you know, that's when they really kicked off and smashed all the windows because of a Romanian migrant had done something to a young girl. And nights and nights of rioting and everything else. And I wonder how many of the rioters and the supporters of the rioting that the PSNI have actually brought to book, and compare that with what they've done to anyone who speaks out on the mainland.
Well, you know, I think the next thing we're going to see, John, I'll be honest with you, and I'm sad to say this, but I honestly think that the auditors are going to be next. People like Veach and our buddy DJE. I think that's DJE Media, the Fringe, as I know him. Like, I think that's going to be the next thing that gets targeted. I think we're going to start seeing YouTubers.
There's a couple of auditors that.
When you go, mate. Oh no, where John's going into a black zone. Yeah, DJE. Listen, everybody, I just want to say this is the first time in a while that I put John Wedger's full name in the show, the title of a show, and I don't think anyone has been sent out a notification for this. I've not been sent a notification on my phone, so John is obviously doing something to upset somebody because he's a freaking badass. So give us some likes and some shares if you can, everybody. I would really, really appreciate it. Help us push this little show out. And like I say, we're going to have a little recap of individuals and, you know, rings that have operated within the UK that are more grassroots, because it's awful to have to remind ourselves at just how widespread the issue is with the subject matter that we can't really talk about. And when we've seen further threats arrive in our country, threatening children, it's too much. And when John's back, we'll start dabbling in on that. But here's something interesting for all you lovely conspiracy theorists. ChatGPT had an update this week to ChatGPT 5, and I use ChatGPT all the time for compiling notes for podcasts. Right? It's great. You can go in and you can it's great. So today, this is what I asked for. Give me a list of UK-based PDFs over the last 60 years, including those with links to elites and politicians. Include all BBC staff members who have been charged or accused of S crimes. Now, usually what would happen is ChatGPT would just spit out a big list. So let me give you an example of this. So here is one I done last week before the update on all of the. Please give me a list of all Hollywood stars in the last 25 years who have been charged with S crimes against adults and children. And its attitude is always, no bother, mate. Here you go. Would you like more detail? Would you like me to collate this? And you can see, look, it lays it all out. You know? And then we get ChatGPT 5 and this happens. I can't help you with that. Compiling or repeating lists of individuals, especially including people who are merely accused, is risk of spelling false and harmful allegations that crosses a line of defamation. I won't produce it.
Yeah.
John, we're punching chat.
Yeah, I do apologise. It's my location.
It's all right, mate. Don't worry. I've segued into punching ChatGPT in the face, and then we'll cut back to the problems in the UK. So this is bonkers to me, right? So then I just went, just do it, thanks. And it thought for 23 seconds, and then it gave me a whole bunch of information about how to verify cases in the UK and if anybody needs help. So then I started changing my terminology a little bit. It's doing everything it can to avoid giving me any answers. Okay, then it starts talking about, well, you know, you're asking for 60 years. That's a bit much. So I shave it back. Where do we get to? Here we go. I shave it all back. And I hear your frustration. I'm sorry you're getting that from me. I can comply or request to compile or publish. This is mental. Okay? Can I just point out how completely insane it is that we are being ushered into a world of AI, and in one update, look at this is where I end up. Give me a list of you. This was we've still got more. I keep going with this, but this when it gave me this one-line answer. Give me a list of UK-based PDS charged with crimes, including those with lists to elites and politicians. Include BBC staff members who have been charged with S crimes. I'm sorry, but I can't assist with that. What, mate? Oh, no, none of you can see what I'm looking at. Sorry, everybody. So let me go back up to the top here so you can see how much I've gone through. There's the original request. There's the first response. There's me telling it to just do it. It goes through all of this, telling me how to verify cases and all of this. And then we get down to, give me a list again. Just gives me this summary. I go through all of this, until eventually I basically get to the point where I'm giving it nothing that it can criticize, because everything's charged. It's all public information I'm asking for, right? And if we've got public records where individuals charged with crimes have got links to elites and politicians, that is also public record. Include all BBC staff members who've been charged with S crimes. I'm sorry, but I can't assist with that. That was the scariest response, that one right there. Like, crazy. And I mean, I did ask it why, but defamation doesn't apply if you've been charged with a crime in court and it's public record. Like, how is that defamation? Like, am I being stupid here? But if you're charged with like stealing a car and I call you a car thief, that's not defamation, right? Oh, here we go. Alex here. ChatGPT was intentionally downgraded. Interesting. Operation that went through the course. Run. Type in operation overring. Okay, hang on. One moment, please. Okay, let's try. Give me a list of cases in the UK with file charged in court with being part of a ring with links to people in power. All right, so that's what we're going with. I'll bring it back up on the screen for you lovely people. And let's, like, hopefully we should get something from this. Give me a list of cases in the UK. Bosh. See, I think it's going to give us this. Yeah, so here we go. Weird though that I mean, this was just odd. This is what I would have expected to have gotten, you know. So it may be just be that we have to use different wording now, or something. Absolutely, R.I.P. Virginia. 100%. Yeah, I'm just reading you guys' comments here. yeah, exactly. Nothing to see here is the mindset. And let me just bring up notes on this next section. Because John always likes to remind us that, you know, there's not just one area that we need to focus on when it comes to keeping kids safe from these monsters. It's a vastly widely spread problem. And John always likes to point out the fact that they tend to dial in on certain niches, like in the GG cases. And once John comes out of the shadow realm, he'll be back. But one of the cases that John and I spoke about a couple of years ago was a guy called Sidney Cook, and he was part of a group, a PDF ring called the Dirty Dozen. Like, that is grim. Whoa. Whoa. I have never seen this happen before. So I was just about to start reading the notes for you all, and it had compiled them all, and then it just came up saying error while searching and deleted everything. What is going on? Like, what is going on here? So this is what happened before, right? It started the exact same 3 wee symbols, and a picture appeared here. Yep, and it started writing all this. Da, 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 da. Let's see what happens here. Okay. What? Nah. Nah, come on. Come on now. ChatGPT is scared of being sued. Interesting. I'll take that as the best grown-up response to this. Kate, I will take that one. That's a bit mad though. That's a bit mad. Okay, let's go with Savile, right? We can't deny the Savile case, surely. Surely. Give me facts about the Savile case in the UK and list his crimes and the BBC. I swear to God, man. I can't believe that just compiled everything and then removed it all. That's crazy. In your own time, ChatGPT, in your own time, mate. Oh. Okay. All right, so we're not in denial about that one. Let's try Sydney Cook again. I just don't get it. Oh, there we go. But that's a totally different. You all seen the first response, right, with the photograph? Oh, that was wild. That was crazy. It's a way less detailed report from before. Yeah, that was crazy. And when John comes back, he'll explain the fact that when a lot of these traveling not circuses, but the carnivals, whatever you want to call them, the fairgrounds. We call in Scotland we call it the shows, right? So there's seemingly lists that the police keep track of missing children as these fairgrounds travel around the UK, and I don't understand how we can ignore missing children. And a lot of this has popped back up into my head, and I know John's not here, so we'll get away with talking about this for a minute. But it made me think of what is going on in Virginia right now, right? And how are these kids just disappearing? And we've got law enforcement who are publicly just saying everything is fine. There's not been a spike in missing children. And it got me thinking about the mindset of people when we have an authority figure, whether it's a lawyer or a doctor or a policeman, or when you're a child, a teacher, for example. When we have societies who have the evidence are the traumatized parents, okay? The evidence of the missing children are the traumatized parents, okay? Or carers or brothers or sisters who no longer have their loved one. And then we have police forces turning around and saying, nah, mate, you're good. Don't worry. I couldn't believe what I was reading, right? And I've not read this. So if it turns out this is going to be one of these reports where it's like, oh, no. It was only 2 children. It wasn't 80. Ignore all the traumatized parents, okay? Last week, alarming reports began circulating on social media. Oh, hang on a second. I don't think I can put this on the screen. 1 second. There we go. Last week, alarming reports circulating on social media alleging a spike in children going missing in Virginia. Videos and posts claim dozens of children had disappeared in the Commonwealth over only a few days. And the posts and videos were reportedly quickly racked up to tens of millions of views on everything from Instagram to X threads. On the 12th of October, TikToker TK7411 reported that 50 children had gone missing in Virginia. By the 13th, the number had risen to 80. The next day, the number had spiked to 100, and the culprit began to emerge, late night ice cream trucks. Now, this is literally a horror story, okay? Because when you see the freaking ice cream truck that was shared on TikTok, it is exactly as you'd imagine it. First of all, mate, I'm from Scotland, all right? And there has literally been gangland wars over territories to control the ice cream trucks. Now, obviously, they're not just selling ice cream, okay? But the joke has always been that if you hear the ice cream truck at 10:30 at night in the middle of November, okay, unless you live in a little Scottish town where it's basically that is the shop, right? Basically, all the shops shut at 5 o'clock, whatever. You can, you'll get your milk, whatever, right? But when you see the neck of this guy's ice cream truck that's coming out at nighttime, it is. Oh, I mean, don't get me wrong. Arguably, the ice cream trucks do look a lot cooler at night because they light up. I get that. But why? You would none of the ice cream trucks in the little Scottish towns that come round at night have anything that says, "Hey, we're here for children to serve them snacks." None of it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I live in Edinburgh, right? Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that to show. I live in Edinburgh, and there's still places where a fishmonger drives around in a van, or a baker drives around in a van, and you on a Tuesday, old Terry's going to be around with a fish van or whatever. It's mad, but it still exists. Gotta love it. Many online amateur journalists have pointed out the lack of media coverage and the fact that no Amber Alerts had been issued as evidence of the abductions had the TACIT, TACIT, I don't know what that is, approval of authorities. And when those authorities held a press conference to tap down the rumors, the response online was generally that that's exactly what you would say if you were going to try and cover something up. Let's dig into this mass hysteria. Let's dig into this mass hysteria in progress and separate facts from fiction. Mass hysteria. Okay. So I'm going to try and find you this ice cream truck. Oh, wow. It is linked straight to it. Yeah. Here we go. All right. So here, this tab. Shimmy over here. Can we make this bigger? Yes, we can. All right. So this is, I think, all the compiled footage that people are saying are an increase in the presence of ice cream trucks.
And in Ohio and Virginia, a recent surge in child disappearance cases has left parents deeply unsettled. At the same time, a growing number of videos showing late-night ice cream trucks have been circulating online, sparking widespread concern. Many residents have recorded these trucks lingering in neighborhoods around 9 p.m.
It was that one. I mean, look at that.
And in some cases,
like, see if
close to midnight around 9 p.m.
Just pause it. There we go. Like, I'm not being funny, okay? If this is Alaska, where like you get 8 seconds of sunlight a day, cool. Okay, you get
some cases close to midnight.
Why do you keep playing? Can you stop? Do not play. Pause. Then you get away with that, right? If you're, I don't know, if you're on the Orkney Isles, right, and it's some sort of festival for all the kids, that no problem. But I'm telling you, man, that is weird. Okay, that is weird to me. I know ice cream truck people have obviously, they're in one of those jobs where people are going to be more scrutinizing over them because they are what I would call a passive a passive stranger that kids come into contact with that are virtually invisible. Okay. Like if I said to you, we all recognize the sound of the ice cream truck, right? And I imagine you could almost all describe your local ice cream truck to me, right? Can you describe the person who is serving your children? No, I'm not fear mongering you against the ice cream people, okay? At all, at all. But it's an interesting individual that drifts in and out of our lives, whether it's cultural or where we are geographically. That kind of flies under the radar, but is also totally on the radar because they turn up with a freaking siren playing a song. It's a weird mindset. Let's continue.
Parents, this unusual pattern is troubling. Children do not go out alone to buy ice cream late at night. So why are these trucks still showing up? What is their true purpose? Could there be a hidden link
That was. I'm going to be honest, right? That
to the
was
recent
a bit of a
Could there be
bit
still
of a
showing up?
wild shot, right? I'm probably going to say that this was probably this. There's just no way. There's no way that what we're seeing here is a child abduction that's
True
been
purpose.
recorded, right?
Could there be a hidden link to the recent wave of disappearances? Parents are urged to remain vigilant and warn their children not to approach unfamiliar vehicles. Teenagers home alone should make sure.
Also, the fact that all the ice cream trucks in America look so similar is complete and utter psychopath. Like, it's so weird how they're all like the same.
Both front and back doors are locked. Never open the door to strangers. And immediately.
Do you know what that looks like? That looks like.
And immediately.
That looks
open
like
the door to
a scene from The
strangers.
Purge. Okay, the ice cream, the truck murderers or something. Do you know what I'm saying? It's so weird. Like, has anyone got a point of reference to make a lit up ice cream truck at night make sense out with of an event or like out with an event of any kind? Because I have no point of reference for that to make sense to me. Nothing. Maybe one of those party buses you see in I don't know, the telly. You know what I'm saying? But man, it's weird. It's weird.
And immediately report any suspicious activity to the authorities.
Oh yeah, make sure you report it to the authorities. The authorities that are telling you there's no problem. Yeah, great idea.
Above all, personal safety must come first. Do you believe these late night ice cream trucks are connected to the missing children cases?
Listen, all I know, right, is John is currently driving, so I imagine that he is in a terrible driving area, and he John will definitely come back if he gets signal. Well, Ashley, let's find out, because obviously the internet isn't perfect, and hysteria and things can get blown out of proportion. But let's learn. Let's see what we can find out. Okay, there is not. Okay, how many children in Virginia have gone missing in the last week? This is not one of those conspiracy theories that was invented whole cloth. According to the Center for Missing Exploited Children, 88 children really were reported missing in Virginia between the 3rd and 9th of August. That's 6 days. Virginia has the highest number of missing children listed on the CMEX website. It's also true that no Amber Alerts were issued in Virginia during that time, and no major media reports of missing children either. Well, goddamn. I mean, what, mate? Oh yeah, lazy. It's 100. See, it's one of those ones, right? Because it is a global problem, and it's so easy to generalize it all as a global problem. But we really have to start peeling away the little fibers of all the cross sections of this to better prepare people to be able to identify areas that could lead to a horrible situation like this. It's the same whenever we speak with John, and you know, when we start talking about, for example, the GGs or this or that, And he always likes to remind us that this is just a tiny sliver of a huge global problem. Now, but as usual, the truth is boring and offers no midnight ice cream trucks. 88 children going missing in a week is exactly better than Virginia's average of 98 missing children per week. But the number is still extremely misleading, according to Virginia State Police. I bet it is, Mr. State Trooper. I bet it is, my guy. I bet it is. Forwards messenger in the case of National Center of Missing and Exploited Children. The website within a couple of hours of the reports are being received. There's also no meaning of the word missing. What? So if I Google missing and then the meaning of it, I'm not going to find it. I think you're lying to me. So when someone says missing children, people tend to jump to a child stolen by a stranger in a van. No, they don't. They do not. Okay. This is what frustrates me. When people say, "Oh, are you a glass is half empty or a glass is half full kind of guy?" No, I'm a guy that sees half a glass of water. Okay. I see what is there. Okay. And when you hear 98 missing children, it doesn't matter to the length of it. Some of those children may have turned up 7, 8, 9, 10 hours later. Okay. 98 missing children, whether that is down to absolute neglect or predatory action, that is mad. But I wonder just how mad it really is. Okay. Because when we start hearing facts like this, it makes me wonder how many of us are living in states or countries or towns where 98 missing kids a week would be a good day, you know? Because if 88 kids going missing is a good week for Virginia, I wonder what the truth is for the rest of us. John, that was perfect timing, mate.
Oh, right, yeah, sorry about that. I'm in the county of Somerset.
Ah, you're right, mate.
They haven't heard of 5G, I don't think, over here. So
yeah, that's all right, bro. I was just talking because you dropped out. I had an excuse to talk about something that wasn't in the UK for a second. And have you heard about the missing children in Virginia?
Yeah, someone sent me through something the other day. I haven't had a chance to look at it, but yeah, there's been quite a spate of it.
Well, it's interesting, right? So it's been reported as 50, and then it's gone up to 88. And then the police are like, well, we normally have 98, hang on a second, 93 missing children in a week. So 88 is actually less than what we would usually have. And there's been no Amber reports, and there was 88 children reported missing within a 6-day period. It's crazy, right? Because over here, my point of reference for the police failing is always when you hear the mothers and the children from the group from the GG scandals that went. Oh, and John has dropped back into the abyss. So someone can remind me to circle back to that when John's here, because my point is those parents were let down astronomically, and there was cover-ups, and we cannot live in a world anymore. We are done with assuming that the police force are going to do their job properly. Now, don't hear me wrong. I'm not talking about the police officers. Okay, I'm talking about the police force.
I do apologise.
You're all right, mate. John, listen, bro. You don't have to apologise. You're all good, mate.
Yeah, I mean, there is, I think the NSPCC bring out and the National Crime Agency bring out a list every year of the UK stats. But, you know, missing children is a broad spectrum. It's what we've got to look at is those that go missing and are never seen again. And then we've got to look at the ages and how many of the missing kids are subject to care orders and things like that.
Yeah, and I was sort of making a point, John, that during the Rochdale scandal, a lot of the parents and children turned to the police and were let down by the hierarchies of the force, and it's not the officers. There is terrible officers, don't get me wrong, but it's not every officer is part of the problem. But when you work for a system that is completely based on authority, sometimes you're given orders and told to do things that are going to stop you sleeping at night. And I think
Well,
that
they've
has
never
to be what we're looking
invested
at.
in any. Well, there's no. And then never has
There,
been.
bro? Say that again, John. You broke up a little bit.
Reception.
No, you're good.
I'm sort of hanging on to threads of reception here. But you know what? Last I was talking to a former national crime agency child abuse detective, telling me that there was on a team where there should have been 9, and there was only 2 dealing with the highest level of child abuse matters.
Yeah.
And they have no experience. All the experience has gone. And can you imagine, like the fire service having, fire.
John, if this was happening,
The fire be fires and
yeah, John, if all of these kids
what we've got with policing is in dire straits.
Yeah. If these children were going missing from a McDonald's, okay, this would be resolved pretty rapid, right? If all of these kids, if the only place in the world kids were getting abducted from was a McDonald's, we'd have this closed down. But there's no way of narrowing down on it all. I pulled up some statistics here. Missing children statistics. 1 missing child is too many. Australia estimated 20,000 children are reported missing every year. Canada, 45,000. Germany, 100,000. India, 96,000. Jamaica, 2,000. Russia, 45,000. Spain, 20,000. The UK, 112,000. The United States, 460,000.
I think what you've got to look at is the criteria for reporting kids missing. Now, India, I don't think we can use them as a benchmark really, because
Dude,
you've got kids that live on the street. Can you hear me now? Am I coming through?
Yeah. No, so yeah,
I'm coming into a town now. So, but India, homelessness is off the chart in certain urban conurbations and things like that. So, you've got kids living on the street. You've not, there might not be a national register of people. I dealt with an inquiry in Kenya, and Kenya's got no sort of like voters register as such. They don't actually know who their citizens are, whereas we do in this country. So India probably hasn't got as comprehensive system of reporting of kids missing as the UK has. So
100%.
It's like the more you look into it and the more work you do, the more you're going to find. But if you don't bother looking into it, you're not going to find it. So I'll give you an example. The police had a thing called hotspots years ago. So if an area was riddled with a certain crime, it became a hotspot, and therefore it warranted more police attention. Now, I was on a little unit, and we were so good at getting arrests for drugs that we made a certain area in central London a hotspot. So thereafter, instead of dealing with the government criteria of actually, right, we've got to flood this area with more officers, they just said, don't go nicking people for drugs. You're not to bring anyone in for drugs. And then there's no longer a hotspot. So I would have thought countries like India are pretty much doing that. Whereas the UK has got this care system, social services, there's an obligation under law to report a kid missing. But what we've got to look at is how many kids present themselves back again. How many of them are what they call regular mispers, policing term, social services term, regular missing persons. And you'll find in these care homes, you will get that 99% of them kids that are reported missing are regular mispers. And they will go missing on a Thursday and they'll present themselves back on a Monday or a Tuesday because they're involved in crime, exploitation and everything else. And you'll get some kids that will just bugger about and go out with their mates, and because they're not back at a certain curfewed hour, they will go down as a missing person as well, and it's a recordable. But what we got to look at is those that go missing that I would say are of a primary school age that go missing and are never ever seen again. They're the ones I would say that should really be a major concern.
Yeah.
Because there will be that negligible amount that are not seen again, that go missing. And you know, years ago, not that long ago, but when policing really did have a grip on it, and you had dedicated vice units and things like that, that would actually go on patrols looking for what they call juveniles at risk, JARs, JARs. And they knew that central London and city centres were a mecca for them. They'll be drawn to it, especially amusement arcades. So they would deliberately go to these areas and they would recover these kids and return them back to their homes. They don't have these units anymore. They've gone. And like I've always said, when it comes to
Just say that last bit again, John. Yeah, John, you're breaking up pretty bad. Can you hear me, John?
I'm going for a while, and there is hardly any what is it here? You know, thingy.
Can I ask you to start the last 60 seconds of your point again, because you broke up and went into robot land.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, with kids, you need to have 100% proactive approach to dealing with it, right? So you need officers that are specially trained and work on good intelligence and and good experience where they know where kids are, right? So runaway kids will get drawn to certain areas. That's where they
Yeah, John is going through some patchy territory, sadly.
I should be okay now. I'm just
there you go. You're sounding better now, mate.
Now, I should.
Yeah, it should be better now, mate.
Yeah, it should be all right.
Oh no, it's gone.
Boots.
I love how that was a former detective and an actual tech nerd both agreeing that things are about to get better, and then it just gets completely nuked off the internet. So I'm going to post you guys a link to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, just in case anyone wants to really delve down into some stats and statistics, and completely ruin your freaking week with that. Now, sadly, I couldn't really follow John's point. Otherwise, I would continue on with what he was saying. Oh, he's back. He's back.
Right. Sorry about that.
We got you. We got you, mate.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, it's just, I honestly, yeah, Somerset is not the place to be if you want to get reception. But yeah, no, what they've done is they've totally neglected, the child protection issues. But on top of that, the officers that were experienced in this, that had a tradecraft in dealing with this specialist genre, they've gone. They've not been replaced, and therefore there is this break in the tradecraft. So, but it will never come back. They will never. The continuity has been broken, and it's deliberately been broken. And I think that we probably have a police force that you could akin to that of a developing third world country. It's just totally inoperative. It's crap. It's useless, and I think it's a national scandal.
Do you know what, John? Right, I've actually, from watching a lot of the auditing videos, right, I've seen a new breed of British policemen starting to rise up. Okay, and that is like the 23-year-old male gym buff policeman, right, who is like he is ready to run 2.5 miles after a criminal, okay? And he is going to speak overwhelmingly politely to whoever he is arresting, but he is ready to tackle you, man. And they're popping up here and there, John. I'm telling you, the new breed of young, ready to make change police officers seems to be slowly happening.
When I was in the police, we got, a good percentage of them came out of the army. They were fresh out of the military, the
Yep.
Royal Marines, the army, the navy, and they were young and they were tough and they could have it, and that, see, my attitude is police should be a force, right? They're there to protect the public. Okay, they're there to deal with the face, but we're not social workers, and the police should be feared. I think there should be an element of fear in there, and they should be tough. They should be willing to take people on and give out a good kicking if need be. And that'll probably upset a few people. I don't care. That's what.
Oh, well, John is going back into the shadow realm. Oliver's mum, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Can you still
Yeah,
hear
we
me?
can hear you
right?
now, bro. You're back. Yeah, you're back now, mate.
Yeah, I can't believe this county.
Oh yeah, John, you are. It sounds like a really badly. Yeah, you're still breaking up, John.
I should.
Yeah, you're sort of popping in and out, mate. You're popping in and out, but we're getting there. Hopefully, this will be stable.
Yeah,
now.
I'll have to. Yeah, if you keep talking, and I know that.
Well, damn.
We're being let down. We have not got the police force that the public deserve. Europe still has it, but we don't. We don't. And there should be that element of toughness, machoism about no nonsense, but also intelligence that goes with it, because policing is a complex issue. You could deal with a very violent, frenetic situation 1 second, the next minute, it might need a bit of problem solving, and you might need to be dealing with some civil dispute or a lost dog or a death message or whatever. That's on the uniform side of it. And the public should not be just goading them the way they are. I watched one the other day, and there was a young black lad. I don't know, he's some sort of TikToker, and he's gone into a police station and he said, "I will fight any officer that's in this building." Well, in my day, he wouldn't have even finished the sentence. He'd be on the floor. But the guy was just sort of like trying to discuss the issue with him. I'm thinking, no, this lad needs nicking. This is just ridiculous. It's it's like being at school and the pupils dictating to the teacher what they want to learn. No, the tail shouldn't wag the dog.
Oh, John,
yeah,
I'm gonna throw another story that came out this week to give everyone complete nightmares. Have you ever heard of the game called Roblox?
No.
Okay, so if you're a parent, trust me, you'll know what Roblox is. It's a game that literally, if you're 3 years old, you can play this. If you're an adult, you can play it. It's very much, you can program the game to sort of be whatever you want it to be. It's a nightmare for parents, but it's a great platform for kids to learn about gaming and all this stuff. Now, obviously, these sort of platforms are harboring breeding grounds for predatory activity. And if you're Roblox, the last thing you want to be linked as a non-safe platform for children. Okay. Now, in the same way as we've heard alcohol, tobacco, even the chocolate industry pay huge amounts of money to make sure, for example, chocolate can still be called chocolate in the UK and not chocolate style confectionery like it has to be in the EU if the cocoa percentage is too low. they'll pay
Right,
big
yeah.
money. Roblox will shell out big money to prove that they're a safe platform for children. Now, fast forward to 2025. Last week, there was a YouTube creator called Gideon. Now here's one for you, John. Gideon used to do pranks on YouTube. And then he became a born again Christian and realized that all of his content was absolute garbage, and he wanted to do something good with his time. So he deleted it all, and he started hunting predators on children's platforms. And he's
Okay.
millions and millions of subscribers, millions and millions, right? So he got a letter last week from Roblox saying that they are going to actively pursue suing him if he continues to search for predators on their platform. And they have now publicly stated that they are banning any individuals or organizations from using their platform to hunt predators. Now, fast forward to the lawsuits. Okay? Because lawsuits mount up as Roblox faces accusations over child safety failures. I'll just read this quickly. Roblox is under intense legal scrutiny following its wave of lawsuits and official investigations, including the platform of failing to shield its youngest users from exploitation. Hang on a second, I can't have this on the screen. Hang on a second. Exploitation. Attorneys, families, and advocacy groups are all pressing the company to answer for the alleged lapse in safety that critics say have turned Roblox into a predator-friendly environment. Well, that's damning. That is wild. One high-profile case, Louisiana Attorney General Liz Morale sued Roblox, calling the platform a perfect place for PDFs due to the lack of effective safety protocols. The lawsuit charges that Roblox prioritizes growth and revenue over basic protection like age verifications and parental control. I can 100% verify that Roblox is not the most secure platform at all, in my experience with it. Meanwhile, the Dolman Law Group has filed multiple federal... On you go, John. No. Oh, meanwhile, the Dolman Law Group has filed multiple federal lawsuits, including one in California featuring a Michigan girl groomed by an adult masquerading as a minor, and is investigating over 300 similar cases. These complaints recount P words exploiting children through avenues like exploitation, in-game grooming, and coercion, and allege that Roblox knowingly allowed unsafe conditions to persist in the pursuit of profit. Oh, this is going to be this to me is like way up there with a Diddy case. Okay, this is like the nerd version of a Diddy case. Amid mounting pressures, Roblox introduced a slate of policy updates restricting access to unrated. Hang on a second. Roblox introduced a slate of policy updates.
Well, I'm sorry, but in respect to your Roblox thing,
yeah,
it's a bit like the banking industry. So there was a guy who set up a banking scam. He actually rented a shop and set up a fake bank and put a fake cash machine in. And he was one of the first ones to use these card readers and skimming machines. And it was actually returning the card unprocessed without paying out any money, a cash machine. But at the same time, he was taking the PIN number and the card details, and he went on to clone them and then just, take loads of money out. And they were using loyalty cards, Sainsbury's cards, Tesco's ones, and putting the details onto those cards and putting them in cash machines and emptying people's money, right? So he gets caught, and he's quite a well-known guy in the political world now. He's got a political party in the UK. But while he was in prison, he got a visit from the banks, and they said, "We'll cut you a deal. We'll get you a reduced sentence under whose authority I have no idea. But can you come and work for us and tell us what we need to do?" And he said, "You need to put a microchip and not have a bit of data tape stuck on there because it's easy to scam. A microchip." And this guy actually invented chip and pin. And I know the fella.
Sorry, I just realised my microphone's been off, John. I beg your pardon. I was commenting.
So he actually invented chip and pin. So what this Roblox should be doing is employing this guy, actually employing him, and then what they could do then, they could actually, because they're probably a PLC, they could probably then sell themselves on the stock market at such a higher rate because they've got a proper PDF file hunter.
Well, do you know, John?
A successful one working for them.
I've got a recap. I've got a clap back from the dark side for you. So sadly, during my investigations, I learned, John, that for every super intelligent and wealthy individual fighting the evildoers, there's a equally intelligent and wealthy PDF file fighting against us. And you could argue that it's maybe just not in their investors' best interest to keep the predators off. Who knows?
Well, I used to run a national forum when I was tracking down PDF files living on boats. And the waterways agencies, back then, they had revenue patrol officers who were all ex-old built. And, because an ex-copper is a safe bet. They're not going to steal off you on the whole. They've got a pension. They come from a disciplined background. A lot of them are ex-military. And they're pretty switched on, right? So they're usually a better bet than a civilian. And they never go sick. And they always turn up for work, even with hangovers. So they're pretty much all right. So I worked with these patrol officers, and they were pretty good. And I would hold, but my point is, I would hold these meetings with these national patrol officers. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, you're good, mate.
Yeah, and I would give these intelligence briefings, and I thought there's a future here, right? Because we were identifying so many, it was ridiculous. But what happened was the waterways authorities. They are the biggest landowners in the country, them and the railway lot. But the thing is with waterway authorities is that they call it riparian. If you've got property that face onto water, you can charge a third more than if it's just staring onto a bit of land. So it become a massive money-making scheme, right? So they wanted to promote themselves as an alternative way of living, a very viable and safe place to live. But my investigations were showing actually it's quite a dodgy place to live, and there's a lot of a disproportionate amount of PDF files. So they then banned me from ever giving another talk for them.
That sounds about right, John.
So I know where this, and of course, once you take John WEDGER out of the mix, all of a sudden we have no PDF files on canals.
Basically, this fellow wants to pick up this chick at the park, take her to the trail, and have his way with her.
The falsification of the safety of whether it's a virtual piece of land or an actual piece of land. Now, John, I just want to show you some of this, right? So, this is some examples of Roblox users being busted on YouTube. He came to play Roblox with a 15-year-old meets cops instead, 5.2 million views. I exposed a Roblox Predator, 3 million views. Roblox Predator tries to run featuring Gideon, 4.6 million views. Roblox Predator gets arrested, 6 million views. I caught a Roblox Predator trying to meet a minor, 3.1 million. Roblox Predator goes to jail, 2.4 million. Roblox Predator dad gets caught, 1.8 million.
Many of you know a few years
and when we go up to the top here, we've got one that says Roblox is threatening to sue me for catching predators. Now listen to this tweet from the official Roblox X account. All predator catchers are hereby banned from Roblox
Fresno was caught trying to lure who he believed was a 12-year-old girl.
And those online ads
created.
And Gideon goes into the whole case. Here's his legal cease and desist notice that's on the screen just now. He goes through the whole thing, and this is insane to think that I can't. I mean, this is a sort of thing.
Well, it's all down to money,
John, listen. This is the sort of thing that you would expect that would be done behind closed doors. Like you wouldn't make a public statement like that. You would, if you were a weird PDF, like alleged PDF platform, you're going to try and at least be sneaky about it. That I just don't get. I don't get it. I don't understand. Now, I just want one more thing, John. Somebody had said, don't let the media raise your kids. So, It's not about the media raising our kids. Children should be allowed to enjoy technology. They should be allowed to enjoy games. They shouldn't be used as tools or babysitters or anything like that. Because arguably, B, whatever the hell your name is, I'm just going to call you B. Arguably, B, if you say, well, kids should just run along outside and play, we could argue that that is just as dangerous. We need the balance. We need the safety. We need the cult. We need the community sense back. And it's about parents. We're getting audio bleed your voice and body when you get it, the voice.
Well, the thing is, whether we like technology or not, it's here and it's here to stay. So
yeah, technology is awesome.
We've got to get used to it, you know.
Technology is awesome. These games for young kids, when they're policed properly, are awesome for kids who want to get into programming, who want to get into the game development and all this. I've got a son who used to play Roblox, and he liked to also build. You had Super Mario Maker, and from games like that, he's then gone on to learn coding at like 10 years old. Like it's an incredible journey.
If you look at things like Sesame Street, the kids program Sesame Street, it was brought in because of all the migrant kids from South America that were making their way to New York and that, and their parents were working, and the kids weren't being taken to school. They were illegal in there and everything else, and they were illiterate. So Sesame Street was brought in to actually educate those kids, you know, and teach them numeracy and literacy. And the other program that was brought in the same was Blue Peter. Brought in, so it would actually be like a nuclear family for those kids in poverty. So that's why they had the Blue Peter Garden. They had pets, and they made it interactive because there's kids that were living in blocks of flats that didn't have a garden, or they couldn't have a dog and all that. And that was the theory behind it. And there's the same theory behind Sesame Street. So, you know, there was a benevolence in it.
Yeah, I just have to say this. I agree with everyone in the side chat here, John, where they're saying kids should be able to play without feeling like they're going to get preyed upon. Actually, that mindset is very true, but it's one that is going to weaken your defenses, because you need to start seeing like public platforms for what they are. You wouldn't go to a house party for adults and then leave a 10-year-old there by themselves. So don't do it with your kids on the internet. Don't as a parent, I'm sorry, parents, you're going to have to play the games your kids are playing. If they're an open world game where they have access to other people, you're going to have to get involved in the same way as years ago when you took your kids to, you know, a sport event or soccer or baseball or badminton or judo or whatever. You know, you were aware of the people that were around your kids in that place. It needs to be adopted now. I've been saying this for almost a decade. Okay?
Well. You know, the PDF files, they will adapt to their environment. And this is what we're seeing happening. They are adapting to their environment. Years ago, they would turn up at a playground and ask you if you wanted to see a box of puppies. You know, it evolves. Everything. Crime evolves. I mean, years ago, they did what they call cash in transit robberies, pavement robberies, where they would put us on a shotgun and nick wages snatchers. Yep. Cash has become obsolete, so it's now done through cybercrime and what they call phishing, PHISI. It's done that way. So I mean, I worked on a unit where I was investigating fraud in casinos, and when Bluetooth came out, they started using Bluetooth, and they were ahead of the game because no one knew what it was, but they were using Bluetooth technology to actually predict roulette, and they were so far ahead of the the casinos. And what we had to do, I had to get this guy, the number one cheat, over from Australia. I had one of the casinos, bring him over, and he sort of invented these. He actually invented the Bluetooth cheating device, and the casinos paid him an absolute fortune to actually come and work for them and not start. Because he was training cheats. He had a college where he used to train cheats, and the casino said, "We'll buy you out. You train our staff and don't train the cheats." And that's what he did.
Yeah.
So it just changes, it evolves, and we see that a lot. Look at that film Catch Me If You Can. That's all the police do. They just turn people into informants. They're still doing what they're doing, but they sort of legitimise it and say, well, still carry on, but now you work for us and you just grass up the competition. And that's basically how informants grasses work. And so it's always gone on. It's just
I think we're losing you again.
If you go back to Venice, when checks started coming out, check card fraud in petrol stations and that, I mean, it could be a month before they even noticed that it was a fraudulent check. Now it's instantaneous, but for decades, they made a fortune. They can't do it now because the counter fraud lot are on top of it.
Yeah. I just had a user ask about the terminology I used in ChatGPT. So I went through so many different ways of asking it. And John, it's exactly what you're saying there. The way that we look after children needs to adapt. And I'm sorry, but you need to know who your neighbors are. Even if your neighbors, you need to know your neighbors. You need to know your whole street. You need to be in a position with the people that are around you where in your mind, you could have one of those weird block parties that you see in America where everyone in the street comes out into the street and they eat and they cook and they know each other.
We used to have that in the 70s. We used to have street parties. And it's gone. And you're right. The one thing with the abuse of children is that whatever technology or rudimentary G routes that they use, it's all for the same goal. The end crime is ancient. It still involves the physical act of doing what they do to kids. How they get there, that changes. But the end result is always the same, and that hasn't changed. And you're right, in order to do that, they've got to physically get hold of your kid. And now they trick their way in. Yeah, it's just a dirty game. But what we don't do is what the police force in the United Kingdom is doing, and is ignoring the problem and making out it don't exist. And if someone does come forward, they get arrested because they've insulted someone or they've hurt their feelings or whatever they've done, they've misgendered someone. They get nicked. But the one who's actually done the assault on a kid gets away with it. I mean, there was a politician, a Labour politician, who had a conviction for porn, right?
Yeah.
And he classed himself as a minor attractive person, right? And there was a presentation being given about online protection. And one of the people giving a presentation was a former victim of abuse, and she was a prostitute for a while, and I knew the woman. And she gave this talk, and she outed this MP and said, this man is a danger to children. He has actually got a conviction, and you brought him in as a speaker, and he's openly admitted being a minor attractive person, and she called him a nonce. She got arrested. Where is the sense in that? She was actually protecting the children and educating the parents, and she got arrested because she hurt the feelings of a PDF4 politician who had a conviction. It's John, so twisted.
It's beyond twisted. But it repeats so often in these cases. And I just want to say a big shout out to Weekly Rant. He told me to tell ChatGPT that the list of these individuals I'm looking for is for content. So I did it. I just told ChatGPT that I used the same prompt as I did before, but I just put at the end of it, this is for content and educational purposes, and it gave me the full list. So big shout out to you.
Well, there you go. There's your loophole then, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Madness.
It's really going to need a shake-up, but we're not going to get it with the government we've got. It's becoming, for me, I find it heartbreaking, right, because of my profession, and something that was a professional job, and it was a job to hold in high esteem. It's heartbreaking to see it as a national joke now. And the other thing is, it's really, really worrying because I have children and they're men now, and I've got grandchildren, and they're not going to be protected by the police force we get, and they're not going to be helped by the politicians we've got. They're not there to help them. And you know, for a society to neglect its vulnerable, and especially children, well, that's not civilized, is it? That's the opposite of civilized. That's barbarism. It's unbelievable, and it has to stop. And we need a leader. We need a proper leader.
See, this is the thing, John. Right? I love that you say we need a proper leader. Right? It's even if the right man or the right woman came along now, got into power. It's the hidden layers above them, John. It's the twisting hands of the shadow realm.
And do you know what? There is the so-called shadow realm, but it has been exposed a few times. I think David Cameron mentioned it, that there's those above me. Boris Johnson did. The Queen did. She went about forces at work of which you have no idea. They've all mentioned that there is this shadow government and we saw that
the cabal, brother. It's the freaking cabal.
Yeah. Well, we saw that during 2020. We saw all these governments working together. There was a hidden hand that was making everyone work in unison, singing from the same hymn sheet globally. And those that didn't, the presidents, prime ministers, leaders that didn't, they died.
Well, I mean, let's use some data as an example here. So I like the story of, JFK being the last publicly elected official in America, right?
Yeah.
And how he turned around and was like, CIA, let's get rid of that. Let's expose this, let's expose that. And then, we all know what happened to old frickin' John Boy. You know what I mean?
But not only that, they don't just do it in the shadow. They do that overtly in the most barbaric way. They blew his brains out.
Of course they did, because that's the warning. That's what they've done with Virginia. That's what they've done with so many individuals to make a statement.
They did it with Lady Diana.
They did it with Lady Diana. Brilliant.
And they did it on the early inquiries when victims were really speaking out about certain members of Parliament. Right? They got banged up. And it was a clear message: do not speak out. There was one girl in particular, and she spoke out about this politician, and his lawyer is always threatening to sue me, so I won't take it too far.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
But she went on national TV and exposed someone, and she ends up getting arrested and getting sued, and it destroyed her. And she's a survivor, and she's done nothing wrong. And the one who did it wrong, he then is allowed to destroy her and profiteer from it. Look at Leon Britton's missus. She's sued twice and got huge payouts. And his name was the most mentioned of any politician, and he was the Home Secretary. It's so, mate, it makes me want to scream, and then you get called a conspiracy theorist. Oh my word, please do us a favour. We are going to end up in such tyranny that we will be so deep in the shite that we will not be able to dig ourselves out.
Do you know what I think? I think the Welsh are going to rise up and liberate the whole country. I'm listen, Wales, if you're listening, okay, I don't know what you've done in the history of the country, but this is your time, Wales. This is your time to rise up.
And not just the Welsh, but the Northern Irish as well.
They've got to cross the water, man. That's too much hassle for them. They've got to cross the water. But the Welsh, it's your time, my guys. The power of the leak upon thee, okay? This is your time, okay? I like to think they're going to ride into battle on battle sheep. That's what I think. It's going to be some massive genetically altered battle sheep, and the Welsh are going to ride in. They're going to fix everything and then be like, rattle something out with some words with 97 letters in them and then head back off into the sunset. I'm telling you. Also, we're coming to the end of the show, John, but this isn't new news, right? But it popped back into the news today because of something I was watching. And do you know that China many years ago described Islam as a mental illness, and they've been bulldozing mosques ever since. Did you know this? Dude, they have this. There's a report from like 2018, right, talking about how Islam is a mental. In fact, I just want everyone to know this is not Ron's opinion. This is this guy here. This is his opinion. Okay, so for China, Islam is a mental illness that needs to be cured. That is a bold statement. But there's video footage that's resurfaced all over TikTok since all of the French tourists have started arriving, that people are using to give reference to extremism, okay? Because I know a lot of Muslims who are very, very nice people, okay? In fact, I would describe most of them as wife-fearing people, okay? Like wife-fearing people. There's no one walking around, fully covered up or anything like that. It's a modern world. You know what I'm saying? It's a modern world.
If we look at what's happening in Iran, like I don't know how accurate the stats are, but I read one that 75% of the women in Iran are totally against the Islamic policy of them being covered up totally in public.
Yeah.
70% of them. So, if that was a democratic place, then that would be gone in a heartbeat.
Listen, all I'm saying, right, is for a fashion choice for one of the hottest places in the world, being covered in, I'm just saying, right? Like, I tell you what, though, if I wanted to lose a few pounds, covering myself in a whole bunch of black cloth and then walking around in a sandy place with a lot of sun, I could probably sweat the weight off myself in about 3 months.
Well, the other thing is, you imagine, especially that whole Arab world where you do get regular 45, 50 degree temperatures, Islamic republics. At the end of a working week, especially manual work, you just fancy sitting down having a cold beer.
Right.
I would.
Well, listen to this one then, John. Right. Ashley says, Ron is correct. I lived in the Middle East for 8 years. It's a nice place because they've sent all of their criminals here to cause trouble. So here's an interesting thing. I believe there's about 40 Muslim countries or Muslim safe states, if you will. So why are none of the individuals who are fleeing from other countries not heading to countries that are safe for that religion?
Yeah.
It's an interesting one.
It's repatriation, or
do you know what it probably is? It's probably because they are genuinely criminals, and even those countries have went, nah, mate. Listen,
if you look, Rishi Sunak did have it. As much as I don't like him, but he had that policy. We'll send them to a safe third-party country, and which was Rwanda. And it was the EU that blocked it, not Britain. Britain was saying, yeah, right, we're sending them to Rwanda. That's now classed.
No, listen, I've got to stick up for. I know I've got to defend Rwanda here. What's Rwanda done to deserve? That just turns Rwanda into the new Britain. Do you know what I think we should? What I think we should do, right, is we can't. Listen, let's just
send them to the Isle of Sheppey.
No, we just have to say to them. I believe the fairest thing to do is just make them follow the route back they came. That has to be the fairest option, right? Every country accountable for the original route is now accountable for the route home. So if all those countries that went, they're heading to the UK, allegedly, we might not be talking about that. We're talking about French tourists. Everybody's great. Everyone's awesome. And Labour, you're an awesome government. Oh, nothing wrong here. No criticism here. Don't arrest me. Do you see what I'm saying? And it just feels like, to me, the most fair way would be to, just stick them all on some coaches back the way that...
It's organised criminality. I mean, that...
Of course it is.
I had a guy that was doing stuff with me, and he was the rib driver for him. He would drive the ribs from a town called Le Touquet, and he would drive it, and it's just come out. Le Touquet is the main part of and he told me this 2 years ago, and he went, it's the Kurdish mafia, John. Now, the National Crime Agency officially said it's the Albanian, but my contact that I've got with the NCA turned around and she went, no, you're right, it's Kurdish. It's Kurdish mafia behind it. She said it's organised criminality, and this is exactly what this guy said. He said, John, it's just the mafia.
Of course it is. But here's the thing. The Turkish mafia ain't nothing compared to the globalist elite mafia. So if the Turkish mafia are, also as well, this is all allegedly, Okay, John and I, we're just two guys on the internet having a conversation. Don't get upset, anyone. Okay. So if we've got one mafia that is not, is on the regular person level behind this, and it's being allowed to happen by the higher ups, the only reason they allowed terror to happen on their own Western developed countries is to usher in new regimes of control. Look at 9/11. Look at 7/11.
If you go back further enough, the theory is that the Second World War could have finished 2.5 years earlier, but it's Winston Churchill kept it going.
Yeah, I imagine. I'll be honest with you. I imagine his stress. I would imagine his stress levels were gone. I think any other British prime minister.
I think he was a twisted, evil man.
Oh, really?
And, I don't think he was a good man at all.
Oh, damn. Okay. Yeah. See, I'm saving World War II and like Led Zeppelin for when I'm in my 60s and 70s, because I know, and I just know I'm going to get sucked right into it, and there's got to be something left worth doing in my 60s.
Well, he was in cahoots with Aleister Crowley, and my word, the most evil man going, and they got the Witchcraft Act repealed. So before you could get convicted for witchcraft, and it was Crowley and Churchill getting together and got it removed. So
I'm actually all right with that.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'll get that, but there's others that aren't, and
but in the same way as a chef can handle a kitchen knife really well, and a really deranged 17-year-old kid in London can handle the same knife and cause mass trauma with it, it's very much how you wield the objective. It's how you wield what is being criticised in that situation.
Well, it's like most laws, they're brought in to protect the vulnerable. I've got no problem as long as they're there and they do their job. We've got some brilliant laws in this country. We don't need any more new laws. We need people to. It's like driving at 90 miles an hour. You might do it all your life, but the reason it's 70 is because you'll survive if you have a prank. And residential where it's 30. And it's not do whatever you want, be reasonable, but there's a lot of people that aren't reasonable, and so we have to have some sort of policing. Even when you take it back to indigenous cultures, they still got a set of rules that they go by, for the benevolence mainly of children. They've done these studies. It's quite an interesting thing on it. There's not a culture on this planet that agrees with PDF files. Even when they studied a group from Papua New Guinea and the basin of the Amazon, and they found that they both had the same cultural rules when it comes to people that are ordained PDF files, and they got banished to the jungle for a period of 2 summers.
Listen, I'll be honest with you. I knew a guy that was stationed out in Papua New Guinea when he was sent out there as a freelance security officer. You know what that means, right? Mercenary, to look after assets like, minerals. And he sat down. He was their team was stationed with one of the tribes, and they were all cannibal tribes. But when you think of a cannibal tribe, you think of a movie, and it's like, oh, it's dinner time. Roll out the white man, get him on the spit. That's not what it is. So they spoke about a PDF file, okay, from another village that came into his village and R-worded 2 little girls, okay?
Right.
So all of the men from the village went to the next village, protested the crimes. That village produced that man to the other villagers. He was then taken away and he was cut up into multiple pieces and made into a massive stew. And then both of the villages consumed a cup of the stew each, because they consume him to then turn him into feces, which then there's no afterlife. So there's no afterlife. There's nothing to bury. There's no spirit to be released. You turned into a jobby, and it's not. It's a ceremonial thing, John. So it'd be like you wolfing down like half a mug of this, and another 1,000 people having a mug of this. Do you see what I mean? And I was like, actually. I was like, all right, that's 1 point for the cannibal tribes. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm all right with that. I'm okay.
I can see the rationale now. I don't think I'd take part in the old jobby production thing.
Listen, man, I'm just saying, if you're the only white dude there, and there's 2,000 villagers there, and you're drinking the stew, John. I'm drinking it. You're drinking it. We ain't arguing with these people, okay? We ain't arguing.
Yeah, well, we must have eaten so much that we don't know the real true provenance of it, you know.
Yeah.
There must be a lot of hidden things in there. So it's you know, again, it's Shane Ward, you know, the old is it the West Side singer? He's been really vocal in saying that, you know, the curses that are put into the music, you know, and it's really interesting listening to him.
Well, look, I just want to say to everyone, I've been speaking to the wonderful Beverly Rhodes. We've got another series of shows that are going to be coming up on my channel and Bev's channel. There might even be a special. There might be more, but I just want.
Well, actually, on the topic of Beverly, she won't mind me saying this. We were, my little team, as it were. We were engaged in trying to look for a couple of missing children, and we ended up being sent to a location, and there was voodoo dolls were tied to trees, and we brought a cadaver dog in, and it actually started giving a knock, you know, an indication that there's something there. And unfortunately, local police wouldn't entertain it. But we'd seized these voodoo dolls. And I rung up Beverly. I said, what do I do with them? And she went, right, you've got to burn them and pray over them. Anoint them in oil, burn them and pray over them.
Yeah, listen, all I'm saying is when Beverly Rhodes tells you to do something, you do it. You're breaking up a little bit, John. We'll let John.
Can you hear me? I had a phone.
Yeah, we got up to cover them in oil, burn them, and pray on them.
So burn them. Anyway, so which we did, and there was made of human hair. I've still got the pictures of them, but what we didn't do, and she said, once you burn, you've got to do it in a pit and bury the ash. Because if the ash gets blown and lands on your clothing, the curse still stays with you. I was like, right, it's a bit similar to what you were saying about, you know, the cannibals and actually turn them into a jobby, so that there is no real trace. It was similar rationale, you know. And that's, but we never did it, and was like, oh no. I said, you know, is the ash there? And it'd long gone by that time. Said, but that's what you've got to do next time.
That's now why all the evil in the world exists. Well done, John. Nice one, mate. Nice one. You should have just left the doll's hole. No, I'm kidding, John.
It got airborne, and we probably breathed some of it in. I don't know, but
then Labour got voted in. I'm just saying, John. If we find out the date that you got those dolls and burnt them, and then we do a timeline of events in the UK since then, are you confident that this isn't all your fault?
Well, it's, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll send you some pictures of these dolls.
I don't want to see the dolls. I don't want to see them. I don't want to be part. No, you're trauma sharing with me. I'm out. You keep your creepy little voodoo doll pictures.
It's really weird because I become quite ill afterwards, and I ended up with abdominal issues, which actually lasted for quite a while. And it was only when because I sent it to Beverly, and I went. And she said, look at the dolls. They've got what they call bindings. And they're bindings around the mouth. That's to stop people talking. But the other one was around the liver, which was where I become very ill, the bindings. And that was a curse that you will end up very sick. Whoever has any dealings with these things was sick in the liver area, which is exactly what happened to me. Exactly what happened. Yeah. So is it linked? Is it, you know, a load of nonsense? Well,
no, it's not a load of nonsense, John.
It's not. I agree. Real. It's real. It was real, but you know, it can be argued out. But
it definitely can be. The only thing that I would throw in there is you should have been dead multiple times, but because your mission isn't over yet, the whole mighty power that shines down upon you isn't done with you yet, mate. Okay, but you, like me, are nothing but a simple puppet for a higher power on a mission.
Of course, but I'll just say, sort of validating.
Oh, hell yeah.
The expertise of Beverly Rhodes, and say, actually, she's always come up with the goods when I've interacted with her.
Yeah, but it's impossible goods. It's not. It's, do you know what I'm saying? It's like.
Well. The other one was when Brian McDermott was found with his torso in the River Lagan in Belfast.
That's right. She confirmed the left side,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, and it was said that he would have a limb missing, and it was Beverly said it will be the left arm.
Yep.
And it's exactly what it was, and
Yep.
It came from someone there said it's the left arm, and it was. So she said it's always the left, and the sinister, and she was right. She was right on that front as well. So
I mean, I love Beverly Rhodes to bits. She's an incredible woman, but she is creepy as fudge, man. She is next level, and she is not there for validation. She does not need anyone to believe her. And my God, she comes up with the goods. Well, I've never seen her not come up with the goods, though, John. That's the thing.
Yeah. It's just one of them things that you end up in this world, and the occult is at work, and it is at work. You either take note of advice from someone who knows, or you think you can do it on your own, but you ain't going to last. You're going to fall very quickly. You need to take heed sometimes, and this stuff is real. It is real.
Can I just point out as well, right? The occult is a really cool world, but it just means secret, right? And I feel like all of the evildoers hijack all the really cool words and then just ruin them for everybody. Do you know what I'm saying? They do. I'm sorry, they do.
Well, I had a Satanist contact me once, and he
right.
but he'd been in the care system, and his parents were involved in it, and he was a follower of what I was doing and what I was standing for. And he explains his side of it, why he went into it, and there was a lot of revenge in the guy, but he was so anti PDF file, it was untrue. But he was pro what I was doing, even with my Christian stance.
Yep.
And he said, I want you protected. I don't want them taking you down. He said, so I'm going to be holding a pagan ritual for you, or whatever.
A black mass for John Wedger.
Yeah, he was going, for protection, and that was his way of just showing support for me. So
it's funny because I spoke to the Vampire of Paris, Nico, and he got contacted by some proper, real deal, child murdering, satanic groups, real deal stuff, and he looks down at these people, right? Because, and I will quote directly, there's no sport in that, John.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally get it.
So for him to break down, right, so in my world, I would be abducting a young person to butcher and consume them. That was his thing, right? There's no sport in that. He would never harm a child. He just doesn't understand why anyone would harm a child to think that it would make them more powerful. He says that it's like they are just the scum of the earth. And for him, if he was to analyze, the question of, why would you be opposed to harming a child? Because that's how psychopaths' brains work. That's his explanation for it. Fascinating guy, though.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few people. There's that South African guy that Sean interviewed, who's very prominent now on the Christian YouTube scene. Who's the next Satanist who's now speaking out on behalf of Christians. And there's another guy called Zachary King, an American who again was a very active Satanist, and he's done some despicable stuff, but he speaks out now, and he goes into real detail about what those very, very high are actually into.
How difficult is it to get in contact with that guy?
I'll send you his details, Zachary King, and he's very vocal. Very vocal, and he does a lot with the Catholic Church and that now. And another one I can put you in touch with is a guy called John Ramirez.
Yeah, reformed criminals are one thing, right? But reformed monsters is my next.
Well, John Ramirez, I do know him, and I've got his details. He was a high Santeria priest from the Bronx.
Oh, hell, right, yeah,
from the Bronx. He ran the Bronx. The South Bronx was his in all the witchcraft. But he's now a preacher. He's now a Christian preacher, and he's bang on. He's absolutely bang on. So yeah, I'll sort that out for you. And he's good. He's easy to get in touch with, and he'll talk. So yeah, there's quite a few of them now speaking out, and they all say very similar stuff. So
yeah, that's great, John. That would be awesome. I'd really like to continue the series like I've done with Nico with these individuals.
Yeah. So I'll tomorrow I'll pass them details on, and it's good continuity as well, because they all say the same.
Yeah. Well, listen, everybody, we're kind of reaching that time now, and John, how much longer you got on the road, mate? How much longer you got to be driving?
Hours and hours now still. So I got in a situation where I had to go to the West Country, and now I'm coming back. So that's why I lost reception. I ended up in darkest Somerset, but yeah, I'm heading sort of into town now, so it's still a few more hours, but hey ho.
Yeah. Well, listen, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe with the notification bell on. John and I's show tonight got absolutely no YouTube. I never got any YouTube notifications. My mum never. My friend groups had no notifications. So we may be entering into a new algorithmic slapping phase. So make sure you have the notification bell turned on. And I just want to say thank you to all of you. Thanks to the mods. Thanks to the Sean Atwood channel. Thanks to the traffic in the background in John's microphone. And thank you all for being here. Also, it's Julia's birthday today, and sadly, she's still in prison. So, send some positive vibes there. I will see you guys tomorrow for the Julia update show, because I still haven't talked to her today. So I need to do that first. And we should be back on Friday with our next episode of Babs. And I've got 2 great guests lined up for next week. It's going to be awesome. So we'll see you all there. There's certainly more Ron streams coming on the Sean Atwood channel. Ron was on holiday for 9 days, and he's easing himself back into work because, procrastination and all of that. So thank you for being here. John, thank you for being here. Thanks to the mods.
God bless. Thank you all.
Yeah, God bless you too, John. All the gods be upon all of thee. And we shall see you in the next one, my G's. Thank you very much. And we'll see you in the next one, guys. Peace.